If I crash into an escaped horse instead of something like a random deer, would insurance try to pursue the horse owner or write it up the same as hitting a deer? In some places, livestock have the legal right to roam. That may even apply to major roadways. So there isn't really a way to know without more info. I hit a cow in a work truck and the farmer was responsible because it was his cow that escaped. I can't imagine they wouldn't, if the crash was the result of someone else doing something wrong like failing to contain their horse. The insurance company will try very hard to get out of paying. I almost hit a cow and nearly got arrested. I was driving a small car on a highway late at night when the rear door of a cattle carrier opened and a cow fell out in front of me going close to 70 mph. I swerved and clipped the cow, doing minor damage to my car, but the entire front of the car was splattered in cow blood from the spray of blood when the cow hit the road. So I stopped at the next small town and used a coin-operated car wash to get the blood off. I had barely started spraying when a police car pulled up, lights flashing. I was in cuffs for half an hour before they corroborated my story somehow and let me go. Penal, but I imagine it would depend on the circumstances. I was driving once and as soon as I tuned a blind corner there was a giant horse standing in the middle of the road. I didn't hit it, but I came really close. I would think, maybe I'm naive, that it would be the owner's fault as I had no way of knowing the horse was there in that blind turn. If the road was a mile of straight road and it was sunny outside, then I would think it would be my fault since I should have clearly seen the horse in the middle of the road. They would try to pursue the random deer if they could get its address. Insurance will always try to identify and pursue the person at fault, as they are in the business of making money and remaining financially solvent for future claimants. A deer is considered an act of God for obvious reasons, as it is a wild animal in most all cases. An escaped horse is considered a failure on the part of the owner. Yes, they will investigate and potentially pursue the horse owner based on the specific conditions that led to the horse's escape. If the conditions were outside of the owner's control, i.e. a tornado removed the fencing, then the owner may have a case in which not fault is found. If you hit a horse, there's a good chance you won't need to worry about insurance at all. Horses are huge. I actually knew a guy, well, my parents did, who was killed when he hit a horse. The horse walked away with like a broken rib or something. I'm pretty sure if there's an owner responsible, they would try to recoup their money from them. Something along the lines of a dog that escapes and bites another human. That's an interesting question. I'm curious if you could sue for damages due to negligence of the owner. This is dependent on location. In Canada, and in some states, insurance works on something called a no-fault system, which means the insurance company pays for their client's vehicle 100% of the time regardless of who is at fault. In the end, it all works out the same, but court systems don't get clogged up with insurance stuff. In the law of tort, as a horse is owned by a person, there is responsibility of ownership and therefore liability. With a wild animal, there is no ownership and therefore no liability. This would be an example of a tort, aka a lawsuit between parties who don't have a contractual relationship. A tort arises where there is 1. A duty of due care, 2. A breach of that duty, i.e. negligence, 3. A legally protected injury, and 4. A causal relationship between that injury and the negligence such that the negligence proximately caused the injury. There are so many things that can affect liability in a case like this that I can't say for certain from this fact pattern. But the big ones would be the laws of your state and the negligence of the horse owner. They would in Belgium. Also, if there was a hunt nearby, a random deer isn't so random anymore. Insurance might go after the hunters in that case. In NM, they are laws that protect the ranchers. If you hit a cow or whatever, it's your fault. Even if the rancher has shitty fences. Happened where a black cow would get out at night, and you couldn't see it till it was too late. My best friend got a horse on the highway after some pedestrians tried to catch it while it was loose. He got nothing. In my state, the livestock owner might be liable if the animal has a history of not keeping their animals in or doesn't maintain their fence. Most places I've lived in Texas put the burden on the owner of the livestock, but it varies by county. Depends on where you are. In the USA, it depends on state or county laws. I was in a car that hit a mule. The driver was worried about liability for hitting it because the owner had to put it down. The owner knew it was their fault, so did not seek restitution. In Kansas, the driver is responsible unless they can prove negligence or that the livestock owner was aware. Are you talking about the incident in Britain where 2 horses escaped a carriage and were running down the street, with one of them having blood on its body?